Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are at Disneyland and I'm going to show you guys all about the new and updated DAS program at the Disney parks. So let's go.
Our goal with this video is to help people who need to use the Disability Access System or DAS system when they're in the Disneyland and DCA parks. Please know if you have any questions about either of these, we are happy to help. Just let us know in the comments below and we'll be happy to answer any questions we can.
So the first part of getting the DAS pass is to complete your onboarding process, which essentially if you are between 2 and 30 days out from your theme park reservation, you can do a online interview just like we did in this video, and make sure you guys check out that link above. And you basically kind of go through the interview process just like you would in the park.
You can also do the interview in park at either the City Hall in Disneyland, the Chamber of Commerce in DCA, or according to the site you can do it at any of the guest relations booths along the way, but we found it much easier to either do it at City Hall or the Chamber of Commerce if you're coming to the park and planning on doing it in the park. The standalone stands, which we'll show you in a little bit for the guest relations, don't seem to be as well equipped as the two main centers in City Hall and Chamber of Commerce. So after you complete your interview, the next step in the process is making or scheduling your return times. So if you do the pre-interview or the DAS Advanced, the 2 to 30 days out, you will have the option of making 2 return times during that day, depending on the availability. Now note, when you talk about the Advanced Pass, some of the rides are not available, like the Cars Land ride is not available, Rise of the Resistance is not available, and a lot of the bigger main attractions are not available. It's some of the smaller rides. Like for us, we got Haunted Mansion, and then we also got Millennium Falcon.
Once the interview process is complete, it's now time to make your first reservations, and that's in-park reservations. And here we have the map of Disneyland, and we have mapped out the locations that you can get return times in the park.
Now they're all located at the Information Center or Guest Relations. So when you look at your Disneyland map, it will basically be a big I, depending on where the Info Center or Guest Relations are that you can make these schedulings. In Disneyland, we start out with City Hall right after you get past the gates. That's a place where you can schedule return times. On Main Street, on this map it shows it on the left, but when we were there it was actually on the right side of Main Street towards the end. There was another station that you could make return times. Tomorrowland, right next to Star Wars Launch Bay, there's another Information Center and Guest Relations. Fantasyland around Dumbo and the Carnival, there's another Information Center. And then in New Orleans Square, somewhere around the Haunted Mansion, is going to be the last Information Center. So you'll see some of the areas like Galaxy's Edge and other places don't actually have Information Centers, which can make it difficult to schedule return times.
All right, so now we're going to take a look at DCA, and DCA actually has 4 locations. The first one is actually right after you enter the gates. It is the Chamber of Commerce. Next up, we have Buena Vista Street. Next is right outside the Cars Land, and that one actually is the one I think we use the most for the Halloween party. This last one is out at Pixar Pier, and I'm going to be honest with you, this one is probably the hardest to get to in my opinion. It's behind the Incredicoaster, and we actually never used this one the entire time we were there. It was just really far off and hidden.
Now you'll notice that in both parks, they are really spaced out, and depending on what ride you're trying to ride, it can be a decent walk to get back to the information centers. But something to note, and a legit tip, is that the person with the disability does not have to go to guest relations to schedule the return time. Just somebody in your party has to go. So if that person with the DAS pass has issues getting to one of those places, you can actually send somebody else in your party to the guest relations and they can schedule the return time. Now note, when you go to ride the ride, the person with the DAS does need to be there, but that person does not need to be there when you're scheduling the DAS. So when you're returning back for a return time for a ride, once you go to the customer service guest relations folks, one of the things you'll find is they'll give you a return time. And what that return time means is basically whatever the current line is. Say if you wanted a Rise of the Resistance return time, typically those are about 90 minutes to even 2 hours wait time. So what they'll do is they'll look at the clock, say if it's 1 p.m., they will give you a return time for 2:30 if it's 90 minutes. So you'll have a 2:30 return time. And with the return times that you get in the parks, those never expire. So anytime after 2:30, that means if you came back at 4 p.m., if you came back at 6 p.m., you would be able to ride that ride. Now note that you can only get one return time in the park at a time. Now, if it's in the advanced system, like when we got the Haunted Mansion advanced return after our interview, that was only available from 11:30 to 12:30, so they have about an hour-long window. Just like the old Fast Passes used to, it's the same kind of system where you have to show up in that window. If you show up outside of that window, the Fast Pass will have expired, and they won't let you ride the ride. Now, they're normally pretty lenient with that. It's typically about a 15-minute window either way. Some will even do a little bit further, so 15 minutes before the time or 15 minutes after the time, they'll still let you use that advanced return time. But just so you know, try to show up in that window. It's the easiest way to use those return times. And that's how the return times work. You're not really skipping a line. You're just not physically waiting in that line for it to get you to the front. So basically it puts you at the end of the line and you wait just as long as everybody else does, but you get to go just at the end and be able to go right on the ride so that you don't have to physically stand in that line.
So another legit tip is the timeline for your DAS Pass is 60 days or the length of your ticket. So if you're coming for 5 days, it's good for those 5 days. If you're an annual pass holder, it's only good for 60 days. And on your 61st day, you'll have to go to guest relations and repeat the interview process and possibly get your picture taken again if they didn't like your original one.
An important question to consider is who is eligible for the DAS Pass. Well, basically it's Disney guests that are unable to wait in lines. So if you have some kind of condition that doesn't allow you to wait in lines, that's what the DAS Pass was created for. And it's to help those people to have a enjoyable experience of the parks so that they can have a similar experience to those who are able to wait in lines. Something to note is that currently wheelchairs do not qualify for DAS Pass systems. So you'll see the letter from the actual website stating that wheelchairs do not qualify for the DAS Pass, so they do not consider that something that hinders a person from waiting in line. So if you feel like you're eligible, this is something to reach out to Disney Customer Relations because they're going to be the best guide for you whether that disability does meet their disability access service requirements.
With the new update to the DAS system at Disneyland, you are now supposed to be able to go into the Disneyland app, go into Genie Plus, and be able to self-schedule your return times without having to go seek out a guest relations person in the park.
Now, on our multiple visits to Disneyland and DCA, this tool has never worked for us. It doesn't even show up in the app, and we're unable to make any kind of updates. But this will be a very useful system because, as we talked about earlier, the locations for the customer relations or the information centers are really scattered and in certain areas of both Disneyland and DCA, which makes it somewhat difficult to get those return times when you're in the parks. And this tool could be super helpful. But again, it's never worked for us, and we've had multiple guest relations people work with us in our app and try to find it, and it never shows up. So we're looking forward to using that in the future, and we will definitely update you when we're able to go back to the parks and actually have access to that tool. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell, because if you're interested in learning more about that, when we're able to do it in the future, we're definitely going to make a video about it, and you want to be notified when that video comes out. So make sure to hit that notification bell so you're notified when videos like that come out in the future.
So thanks for coming and tagging along with us on this adventure into the DAS Pass system at Disneyland.
Yeah, don't forget to like the video.
Hit that subscribe button.
And ring that notification bell so you get updated when we do other Disneyland content as well as our travel content.
And if you are somebody who has any questions, comments, concerns about the DAS Pass, just leave us a comment below and we're happy to answer whatever questions we can.
yeah, so come get lost with us again, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.